Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mrs. Willifeed, and I'm going to do today with you posting to the CRJ, to the General Ledger. And it's going to be a practical explanation. You will see what's going to happen. So first of all, we're going to look at what do you need to know about the General Ledger. Number one, you must know that the General Ledger has two sections. That's called the balance sheets account and the nominal account section. Now, must you remember? You must remember that in the accounting equation, you have owner's equity that equals liabilities. Of owner's equity plus liabilities equal your assets. So all the accounts that you are classified as owner's equity, liabilities, or assets that is written in the general ledger will be under the balance sheet account section in your general ledger. The next part that is important to remember is that your owner's equity is calculated by saying capital plus net profit minus drawings gives you your owner's equity. Now, your net profit is calculated by saying incomes minus expenses. Because capital and drawings is part of your owner's equity, that means that incomes and expenses will be, because it's calculating your net profit, will be in your nominal accounts section. Now, what do we need to know about the general ledger? Second part, the balance sheet accounts is then your owner's equity, your assets, and your liabilities. That means that you must remember that it looks like this. Your owner's equity will be capital and drawings. Your fixed assets will be land and buildings, vehicles, and equipment. Your current assets will be bank, cash float, and petty cash. And your liabilities will be your bank overdrafts, your creditors, or your loans. What else? Nominal accounts will be your incomes and your expenses. What does that mean? That means that your incomes is your current income, rent income, commission income, and interest on current account, and whatever other incomes that you can think of. And then you will have your expenses, that is water and electricity, consumable salaries, advertising, telephone, insurance, or whatever it is that you can think of. So, what else do we need to know? That is that your general ledger has a debit side and a credit side. So if you look at this picture, you will see that the debit side looks exactly the same as your credit side. So in both sides, you will have your information, that is your year and your month, your day, your details, your folio number, and your amount. Then every account will have a name, and your debit and your credit side must be exactly the same. So if you have rules when you post to the general ledger, it's important to remember that bank is your most important account. Sorry about that. Bank is your most important account. Now you must remember that for every debit, there's a credit. So if you can remember the following rules, that assets always increase on the debit side and decrease on the credit side. Your owner's equity increases on the credit side and decreases on the debit side. So what will increase your owner's equity? It will be either incomes or your capital contribution. And what will be on your debit side will always be your drawings or your expenses. And then you have your liabilities that will increase on the credit side and decrease on the debit side. So if you take all this knowledge into account, you can apply the following rules. That if you have receipts, in other words, in your CRJ, it means that bank will increase because you receive the money. And then all the other accounts, capital and your current income and whatever account there is, will be credited. So let's look at an example. If you look at the CRJ, what information is important in the CRJ? Number one, if you take bank, it must equal all the other columns. So if you calculate, you take current income and you add your sundry accounts, it must give you that 91,000 Rand again. So that's what it means. So if you add up all those accounts, it will give you your bank account. So then we can apply the rule that says for every debit, there will be a credit. Bank is an asset that will increase, so it will be debited. So all the other accounts that is on here will be credited. What other information? There is the CRJ1. That is your folio number and the day. Now, the day will be important if we post the sundry accounts. So let's look at here. We're going to start at the bank column here at the top. Bank is our most important column. So we said bank is an asset. If you receive money, bank is going to be debited. So on the debit side here of your bank account, if you look here, you will see that bank is debited. We write year, month that we got from the information here from the CRJ, 2023 March 31st, total receipts, CRJ or CRJ1, and it was the total of it was 91,000 Rand. Because it was a column, we take the last day of the month as our day. The next column that we see after this is our current income. Now, our rule said bank is debited, so the rest is going to be credited. So let's see. We debited our bank because bank was an asset that increased. Now we credit current income. Why? Because current income is an income that increases my owner's equity. Now we get to the sundry accounts. The first one is capital. What is important to see here is that sundry accounts is accounts that doesn't have a column of their own. So now we can't use the last day of the financial year. We use the day that the transaction took place. In this case, it was on the 1st. So bank was debited because it is an asset that increased. So capital will be credited. Again, year, month, on the 1st. Why do we write bank here? Because bank is debited. And this one, the capital account is credited. We have CRJ and we have it on the 60,000 Rand. What other sundry accounts do we have? The next one that we have is rent income. So again, bank is debited because bank is an asset that increased. All the other accounts will be credited. So let's see, rent income on the credit side, 2023 March, it is on the 17th. That is why you write the 17th here. Bank, because bank is debited, CRJ, and the amount was 2,000 Rand. The last one, interest on current account. Bank is an asset that is debited. An asset that is debited is increased. That is why interest on current account will be credited. In this case, the date was the 31st. That's why you write the 31st here again. You write here bank because bank is debited and CRJ, and it gives you 30,000 Rand. If you're going to say now 60,000 Rand plus the 28,700 plus the 2,000 plus the 300, it will give you the 91,000 again. That means that we completed our double entry method. That said, for every debit, there should be a credit. So let's do a summary quickly of the general ledger. Number one, the general ledger has two sides, two sections, a balance sheet account section and a nominal account section. The general ledger has two sides, a debit side and a credit side that looks exactly the same. The debit side must be equal to the credit side. It doesn't mean if you put 100 Rand on the debit side, there must be 100 Rand on the credit side. It means that if you put 100 Rand on the debit side, you can put 10 different 10 Rands on the credit side. But at the end, the total of the two sides must be the same. So the debit side total must be the same as the credit side total, and that we call the double entry method. In the CRJ, the bank column is the most important column because it's money that you receive and we take to the bank. So bank will be an asset that increase, and if you look at our rules, it will be debited. So the rest of the columns, that is either incomes or owner in equity, will be credited. Okay, thank you for your attention. Here's important information. Please remember, ask your teacher to complete the attendance register. Here's the link to the quiz, as well as the QR code that I will also share on the group just now. Thank you for your time.